And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Monday, February 24th. I am Josh Engleman, here to break down 7-game DraftKings slate, an 8-game FanDuel slate. We've got 2/3 of the slate, unfortunately, on a back-to-back, which will complicate matters slightly for us to start this show, but that's going to be okay. All I need for you guys to do, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. We're here. Another week. Should be a really good week of basketball. Starting to get a little squirrely on the NBA streets, but I think we're going to be okay. Shout out Cade Cunningham. 38 points, 12 assists, 7 boards, 4 stocks, 76 fantasy points. Not bad. Not bad. SGA dropped a 70 burger. Trey, Hero, Harden, all into the 60s. Another good one out of Quickly in just under 30 minutes. Oof. 42 out of Boucher in 19 minutes and 30 seconds. Congratulations there, Chris. Mavs Lakers tomorrow. Fun. Shame AD won't be available. But whatever. What are you going to do? Oh, alrighty. Well, we got a lot of basketball to talk about. I see no reason we don't just get it started. Shall we? So guys, hit that like button. Let's break it all down. First game up for today. The LA Clippers. 2-point favorites in Detroit. 223 total. Now, we got to remember, today is going to have a lot of we don't know how this is going to work out type plays. So, be ready for that. Because in this case, here, I'll just read it off. These are the teams that we don't have an injury report for today. Wizards, Pacers, Clippers, Pistons, Heat, Hawks, Timberwolves, Thunder, and Kings. So yeah, that's one. We'll even skip the Kings since they're not on the DraftKings slate. Excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the 14 teams on today's slate don't have an injury report right now. So we need to be aware that things are going to change aggressively throughout the day. Now, let's look at this Clippers team. And we can try to talk through it as much as we can, or at least lay the groundwork for what we're looking for throughout the day. Now, for the Clippers, Norm Powell has missed the previous 2 games, February 20th and the 23rd. Kawhi missed yesterday. Just seems like he's going to play today because of the back-to-back. At least that's the way that I'm expecting it. Other than that, as of right now, I'm expecting everybody from the Clippers to be available, including Norm Powell. Now, whether or not that's true, we don't know. But we could also say that the Clippers are not pulling very much ownership. And if Powell is in, I don't think they look that great either. Whether it's, I think that Kawhi is pretty clearly the best option. 7,200, small forward, power forward eligible. He's playing like 32 minutes a night. I have him 11% optimal, 24% chance of 43 fantasy points. He ranks 23rd for me, but he's only 7% owned. I would argue Kawhi is a little under-owned in this spot. But nobody jumping off the page. Now, if Norm Powell ends up out again, maybe we start having a conversation about the minutes that Bogdan Bogdanovic gets, who played 29 yesterday. By the way, Ben Simmons already out. I guess I should have mentioned that one. Or at least expected to be out here for the Clippers on this back-to-back. Yeah, does Bogdanovic fall into a bunch of additional minutes if Norm Powell is out? Because he got 29 yesterday. 29 minutes of Bogdanovic right now at 0.83 fantasy points. would be 24.07. 4,900. 4.9x. Not bad. Not bad. Chris Dunn's probably going to get like 2 extra minutes. I don't think that really changes anything too crazy there. Amir Coffey probably gets a pretty sizable bump in minutes, but he's so bad on a per minute basis, I don't think it'd even matter. Even if you took him up to 28.62, 4K, yeah, you're never getting to Coffey. So we need the Powell news, but ultimately I don't expect to be on the Clippers all that much. I think Kawhi is the best option from the Clippers. Ownership says that it's Zoo. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 7,500, center only. Just a great spot for him. It always is. He's just really good. That's really the long and short of it. Dude's good. Keep your eye on the Norm Powell news. Honestly, keep your eye on the Clippers in general. Maybe it's not just Norm Powell. James Harden could sit today and change everything for the Clippers. We really don't know. Now, on the Detroit side, 0 ownership coming into the Pistons. Another team that does not have an injury report. They are also on the back-to-back. Cade, obviously, biggest scorer of the slate yesterday. I'm expecting they're at essentially full strength. Fontecchio is a guy that could potentially not play today. I don't think that's going to really make a difference to anything. This is a pace down spot for Detroit. They're running into a really good defensive team. The most owned guy for the Pistons is 4% to Jalen Duren. Now, I have Cade at 9% optimal, 30% boom. Needs 59 fantasy points. He's 1% owned. Do I love going to him on the back-to-back? No. Do I love the matchup? No. Do I think Cade is under-owned? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. 10-5, pay up to be contrarian. Cade Cunningham, I think, makes some sense. If we're talking about salaries today, Cade is 10-5, Shea is 10-7, Nikola Jokic is 12K. They are the 3 5-digit price tags on the day. But I think Cade looks a little under-owned, but the takeaway for Detroit is you're not getting to a lot of them. Nobody has a 5x value, which I think is pretty telling. I mean, nobody's above 4.6 other than Cade. I don't really want to go to anybody else here for Detroit other than Cade. Like, I have Cade ranked 34th for reference. It's not really a Detroit thing. Now, I will say, I have the line at a little over 4.5. It's currently sitting at 2. Leads me to believe that Norm Powell is not going to be playing here today. And potentially, we have some Detroit news. So, we're going to want to pay attention to game number 1. But we have 4 games locking at 7 o'clock tonight. That is both good and bad. It's bad for late swaps and for trying to squeeze value out of the slate. It's great for news. We're going to have 8 teams worth of stuff. That final stretch of Live Before Lock is going to be incredibly hectic, though. So you don't want to miss Live Before Lock tonight. All right, let's go to Denver and Indy. Nuggets. 4.5 point favorites in Indianapolis. 246 total. This is the highest total on today's slate by 15 real points. And the pace of 99.9, the highest pace of the day. Now, for Denver and for Indy. No, sorry, just for Denver. Denver, we have the injury report. Indy, we don't. I thought we had both of them for some reason. Aaron Gordon is probable. Jamal Murray is probable. Essentially, Peyton Watson is just still out. And we are getting some ownership in to Denver. Surprise, surprise, it is going to Nikola Jokic. 12K, center only, 35% owned. He's my number 2 play of the day right now. 20% optimal, 55% chance of 66 fantasy points. For the record here, I have him projected for 68. So his target score is below his projection for today. He looks awesome. I fully expect us to have enough value that getting to him isn't crazy. The pace of this game is awesome. The total of this game is awesome. You're not at all worried about the Indiana Pacers' defensive abilities. I don't know what else I could possibly want to do here other than get to Nikola Jokic. Pacers are 5th in pace this season. Denver's 6th. Track meet. Pacers defense, 20th. That's helpful. That's helpful. Let's see. Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers are 29th in offensive rebounding and 20th in defensive rebounding. Stands to reason this could be a pretty good boards day for Jokic. Yeah, he's just going to look so damn good. I don't know. I mean, obviously, you guys know this. Playing Nikola Jokic is not a take. Everyone knows they can do that. What I do think is interesting, though, is the rest of Denver. Jamal Murray's only projected for 5% right now. MPJ is at 5. I have both of those guys at 12 and 13% optimal. About 25 to 30% boom. I have Michael Porter Jr. 15th. I have Jamal Murray 17th. I think both of these guys are underowned. Not to mention, Aaron Gordon is getting about 10% ownership and deserves it. You can make a case that Russ should be around 10 and deserves it. But if I'm ranking these guys, it's easily Jokic 1, Murray and Porter are co-captains at 2, and then Gordon and Westbrook. Actually, to go Gordon, Westbrook, Brown. I've got Jokic at 1.89 fantasy points per minute today and a 5.7x value. He looks so good. Steven, I wouldn't sweat it. They're thinning their rotation. He made his comeback. He played 29. He played 30. They're not on a back-to-back. Well, today, they're not on the back end of a back-to-back. I think they're going to continue to ramp back up. He's averaged 33 on the year. I went 32. I could see going to 31, but still at least a little interested in him. Look, this matchup against the Pacers is just really good. Let's see. Although Pacers do limit threes a little bit. They're 9th in 3-point rate defensively. Could have been worse. Jones, no, I didn't watch Lakers Nugs on Saturday. I rarely do anything on Saturdays, sports related. Saturday is my full day off, so I'm usually just gone doing something. In scoring stat, who you got, Joker or Murray in this game? Do you mean just points? That can't be a real question. That can't be real. Maybe I don't know what scoring stat is. I took it as points. I'm going to assume that that's not what that is. There's no way it is. Go to Indy. So, Pacers. Oh, Jones, don't worry. You don't have to be impressed by their defense. They won't keep it up. They can't keep it up. It's a fool's errand. Oh, wow. That really was points. Yeah, that's God's honest truth. It's not even close. You could never, ever, 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 ever pick Murray before Jokic. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. They're not even in the same stratosphere. Pacers. So, for Indiana, we don't have the injury report. Let's just, for a second, assume that everybody is playing today, because I think that's the only way we can do it. We're getting about 10% ownership to Halliburton, Siakam, Turner, and TJ McConnell. Now, TJ McConnell, I could go ahead and run away from. When these guys are at full strength, he's just not a dude. I think the best option for the Pacers is Pascal Siakam. He ranks 16th for me. Power forward only, 7,600. I got him projected for 39. Goals 45. I think he gets there about 29% of the time. I have his optimal rate, though, right on his ownership. So I think he looks good. I don't have much of a takeaway here for the Pacers, because these guys have been pretty set in their salary structure for a bit now. So, like, yeah, Halliburton, 10%. Sure. Siakam, 10 to 15. Sure. Miles Turner, 10 to 15. Sure. 5 to 10 on Nembhard. Yeah. 5 to 10 on Mathurin or Neesmith. Probably a stretch. I definitely don't want McConnell. I don't really see the point of that at this point. Don't really see the top end point either, unless we get injury news. I'm ranking these guys Siakam, Turner, Halliburton, and then I don't care after that. I just can't be... If somebody's ranked past 37th, I don't think I need to care too much. Yeah, it's possible we don't even have McConnell. That's a good point, Steven. He did get a little dinged up yesterday. But, like, to you guys, does anybody jump out from Indy? They're just not that kind of team. I just don't see it. Let's go to game 3. Chicago Bulls. Andrew Nolan says Turner. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, like, obviously, Turner, Siakam, Halliburton, totally fine. Like, you're never concerned with going to those guys. Anybody else, I think, is pretty scary. The Bulls are 3.5-point dogs in Philadelphia, 231 total. Now, I am not expecting Joel Embiid to be playing here today. Although, if we're being technical, he's questionable. So, your mileage may vary. Feels like there's no way he's playing, though. So, Tyrese Maxey, also questionable. Not helpful. For the Bulls, Ayo Dosunmu is out. Jalen Smith is out. Patrick Williams is out. So on the Bulls side, we're getting a lot of ownership. This game is the most owned game. It's not even close. 120% for Chicago, 153% for Philly. They're the only two teams over 100. So that's what we have here for this game, with a bunch of dudes out. We'll start with the guys getting the most ownership. First up, 40% to Lonzo Ball, 5K, point guard, shooting guard eligible. That's too much for me. It's not that I don't like Lonzo. He grades out well. He's a top 25 option for me. 40% feels a little aggressive in this spot. Now, maybe I need to give him another minute and it'll look a little bit better. I've got the fantasy score target at 33. He has only hit this target score of 32.8 once this season. He had 33.2. Then he has a 32.6. I don't think he's going to be 40% owned. I don't even think he'll probably be 30. I think he'll be in the 20s. And I think that will be a very reasonable number for him. I like Kobe White more than I like Lonzo Ball. He's 6,700. Shooting guard, small forward eligible. Only 8% owned, though. I have him 14% owned in the number 10 pick. Number 10 pick. Number 10 ranked guy. He's playing real minutes. What am I missing here on Kobe White? Why is, that ownership disparity is insane. Kobe White's a better per minute guy, better positionality. So I love Kobe White for Chicago given his ownership. I think the 27% ownership to Vooch makes some sense at 7,500. He's projected for about 40. You're looking for about 45. He's right at that 25th rank mark. You tell me he's 20 to 25% owned. I think it makes a ton of sense. Kevin Huerter is 29% owned. Now, he's the guy that actually showed up most optimal to me for the Bulls. 15% optimal, 22% chance of 26 fantasy points, 13th ranked option on the day, 3,600, shooting guard only. He played 30 minutes 2 days ago off the bench with no Dosunmu. I didn't even give him anywhere near that. I gave him 24, and I completely agree that his value is awesome. And he has multiple minutes left on top of that he could get to. So I really like the Kevin Huerter play. I'm not at all surprised to see his ownership, but I prefer Kobe White to everybody else that I've talked about here for the Bulls. You're looking for 40.8 out of him. Has not done that in ages, but last time out, 38.8 was not a death sentence in 31 minutes. That's the Bulls side. There's also the Philadelphia side we have to worry about. Now, I'm assuming that Maxey is in for right now, but I just left Joel Embiid out. This dude needs to shut it down, and I think we might end up seeing that. But if Embiid is out, this is the best team that you can get to today. Highest optimal rate, second highest boom, highest owned team. Number one owned dude on the day is also my number one contender. Kelly Oubre, 5,500, shooting guard, small forward eligible, 58% owned. I have him 31% optimal, 48% boom. You're looking for 35 fantasy points out of Oubre. That is not at all problematic. Let's see. He did that on February 12th. So we did it on my birthday. Did it on February 7th, February 5th, February 2nd, February 31st, 29th, 28th, 25th, 24th. Yes, there's a reason Kelly Oubre is 58% owned, because he's $5,500 and he's very clearly the number one play of the day. I don't even think it's close. We're talking about a coin flip to hit his projection, and that being enough at 5,500. Einsteinium, Drummond is unowned and unplayable. There is no Drummond smash spot anymore. That's gone. He doesn't play. So get yourselves all of the Kelly Oubre. No doubt about it. But I'm not done there. We've got 25% ownership coming into Quentin Grimes. I had him as the second best option from Philly. 5,600, shooting guard eligible. He's basically the same play as Kelly Oubre. He just plays less and doesn't have the MPE. But they're the exact same per minute dudes. 0.91 for Oubre, 0.92 for Quentin Grimes. 17% optimal, 33% boom. This is my number 4 guy overall in Grimes. Love the ownership. Wouldn't change a thing. If Maxey's in, I have Tyrese Maxey ranked 7th for today. 9K, point guard only. No Embiid, can play 40 minutes. 18% owned. 14% optimal. Goal score of 52 fantasy points. That all looks good. Yabu, probably starting at center. Power forward center, 4,900. I only went 28 minutes. He's 25% owned. Still a 12% optimal rate. Still ranks 22nd. He looks great. Paul George, though, is the guy we need to talk about. Right now, Paul George is 30% owned. 7,100. Small forward, power forward eligible. I have him under projected for sure. I need to give him some bumps. But he does feel a tad over-owned. So he'll be a guy that I'll take a deeper dive into later today. Not to mention, and Muhammad in chat just sort of said it, Jared Butler if Maxey sits. Probably. If Maxey sits, we're freeing up a lot of value for flat 3K Ricky Council, flat 3K David Roddy, $3,500 Lonnie Walker, $3,400 Jared Butler. Something in there, and maybe two somethings in there, are going to pop like crazy. Like if Butler starts, he's a fantasy point per minute guy at 3,400. Like he's going to be 75% owned. But we might have another guy on top of that. Because look, like even if you just wanted to take Maxey and split him like 24 minutes and 20 or 24 minutes and 16 minutes need to go to somebody else, like you take someone like Lonnie Walker from 9 to 20 and it starts to look a little bit interesting. Same situation for Ricky Council. If he goes from 12 to 20, that's some value. So Philly looks amazing, whether Maxey's in or not. But if he's out, we get crazy pay down value. Not to mention, if you get Maxey out and that Butler ownership, think about what that's going to do to Nikola Jokic's ownership. Because Jokic is already massively owned now in the second best play. If you can pair him with a $3,400 point guard, Jokic is going to end up 50% owned on the day. And there's a reason for that. Here's the reason. We'll just use my projections as the example. I have Jokic at 68.1. It's number one. I have Cade at 51.6. We're talking about like 16 and a half fantasy points? Higher than anybody else? The odds of him being the highest scorer are insane. And you just can't get away from that. That's why that's why his target score is matching it's slightly less than his projection right now. You just need him to be normal Jokic. If Jokic is average today, just his standard bang average performance, he's going to be in the winning lineup today, I would expect. That's all you need out of him. So get ready for it. Get ready for it. Philly looks great, but we need the injury news. I guess there's a situation where Joel Embiid could play today. I don't know how he does. I mean, he's limping around the floor all the time. He's having to like lay down on the bench. The team sucks. They're not going anywhere. They're not making the playoffs. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Speaking of teams that suck, we go to the Brooklyn Nets. 3-point favorites in Washington. 213 total. Now, we are getting some ownership here into the Brooklyn Nets. They do have some injury news. D'Angelo Russell is out with the ankle sprain. Still no Noah Clowney, Uwoman, Melton, Cam Thomas, or Derek Whitehead. Wizards are on the back-to-back, so we don't have their injury report. But we do have about 25% ownership coming into Trendon Watford. I fully expect that to go away a bit. I have him 7% optimal, 11% boom. You need 30 plus out of him. It's a good per minute guy, but he just kind of plays like 22, 23 minutes. Ain't for me. So as I look at it, I expect the ownership to come down, and if it doesn't, pretty good fade for me. I have him ranked 49th. Claxton's 15% owned. I think that totally fits. 5,900, center only, playing about 29 minutes a night. That looks good. He's the pretty clear to me best play from Brooklyn. Cam Johnson, Zaire Williams, Keon Johnson all look very similar to me relative to salary, and sort of just depends on what you're looking for. Zaire Williams gives you the lowest price in the best positions, but he's also the worst per minute guy. Keon Johnson gives you the MPE, slightly higher price than Zaire, slightly better per minute dude, a little harder to get to. And then Cam Johnson, you're getting up into the 6K range. Small forward, power forward is probably the worst positioning of any of those other two guys. He's also the best overall player with the highest fantasy points per minute. So it's all sort of coming out in the wash, and you can see it. I've got Zaire Williams on the slate ranked 38th, Keon Johnson ranked 40th, and Cam Johnson ranked 44th. That's 3 guys in 7 spots from the same team. I can't separate it. Ownership's kind of the same thing, 9, 11, and 8. I think all 3 of those guys are very reasonable 10%ers. I think Nick Claxton's probably something like a 15%er. I think Trendon Watford's worse than all of those guys. So take that for what it's worth, depending on how you guys feel about Watford. But not my guy today. Really sad my Gatorade is gone. Let's go to Washington now for the Wizards. Again, back-to-back. No idea what these guys are doing today. That gets pretty difficult for us, especially for teams like this who can kind of do anything. So on the front end of the back-to-back, we had Middleton sit, Alex Sarr was out, Marcus Smart was out, Brogdon was out, AJ Johnson obviously didn't play. My assumption here is that Sarr is actually up in the air. I expect Smart to play. I expect Middleton to play. I don't expect Brogdon to play. But right now we're getting no love to the Wizards, and I'm very happy about that. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Brooklyn is the slowest team in the league, and Washington's fourth. This is a massive pace down spot. And Brooklyn's defense isn't all that bad. They're middle of the pack, oddly enough. Their offense doesn't exist. So this is a really bad matchup for Washington. 3.6 possessions below their average. The only person getting any relevant ownership is Alex Sarr at 10%. It's 5,600, center only. I have him 4% optimal. I don't think he looks that good. The highest ranked guy I have for the Wizards is Jordan Poole at 51st. Now, you could tell me that he's a little underowned, and I would agree, but I'm not expecting to get anything here from the Wizards. There's no slower matchup. The defensive matchup is not that big of a benefit. They have enough bigs on the opposite side to complicate matters. D'Angelo Russell's not there, so that makes the defense even better. Unless we get a very different injury report, I don't know what we do here. Like, if we can get Rashawn Holmes to... Even that's not going to work out that well. We need the injury report. Because if some of these guys end up out, then maybe we can squeeze some value out of Washington. But full strength, or at least relatively full strength, it ain't there. It ain't there. You know, you guys can get updates to our projections and all of our tools each day if you want by signing up at Stokastic. Want to know how easy it is? Bang. The promo code is welcome back. We're back from the All-Star break now. We've got a $1 promo. All packages. $1 until February 28th. So let's say you sign up for a month today. It'll only cost you $1. You'll have this package until the 28th. Then it renews on the 28th, full freight. So you get what? 24th, 25th, 26th. So what? 5 days, whatever, until the 28th from today for $1. Talking like 20 cents for today, tomorrow. It's basically 20 cents for the week each day. 20 cents for Monday, 20 for Tuesday, 20 for Wednesday, 20 for if you sign up today. You get projections, ownership, our simulation tools, our post-contest sims. You can go back retroactively, try to learn a little something about the slate. All of the content that is created on Stokastic.com behind the paywall. Everything you could possibly want. And you can get in for $1 right now with the promo code welcome back. Link in the description of this video. So come on in. Again, the package, no matter what package, if you pick a month, it's not a month for $1. It's a month, it's $1 until the 28th. That's when that expires. So come on in. Water's fine. Game number 5. Miami Heat. This one's going to be basically impossible. Miami Heat, 1-point favorites in Atlanta, 226 total. Second fastest paced game of the day, which is kind of interesting. But both teams on a back-to-back, and this one's going to get a little tricky. Now, good news for us here is this. Nikola Jovic is done. He broke his right hand yesterday. So while we don't have an injury report, it's not up in the air. He's definitely not playing today. So now we need to figure out who the hell is going to take Nikola Jovic's minutes and what's happening with the rest of this Miami rotation. We got a little over 10% ownership to Tyler Hero, He is not my preferred Miami Heat option. That would be Davion Mitchell once again. How owned did Davion Mitchell end up being yesterday? I got to look that up. Because I know he was like comically under-owned early. And I wonder if that held, because it's another day where he got real minutes. He was 3.5% owned. Really? Yeah. Okay. We need to have a conversation. Okay. So he's up to 4,200 now. We need to have a conversation about Davion Mitchell. If he's going to keep playing 33 minutes a night, what's his points projection? Okay. So his points projection is 6.5, and I've got it at 9. Are his rates that bad? How are you getting an odd shopper screen there? I gotta take a look at his usage and see if I'm just like out of pocket here. Look, I know he's not good and all, but I only have him projected for 0.69 fantasy points per minute. That's not exactly a stretch. 11.86% usage on Mitchell. I just got to take a look at this. I don't know how to get him to 6.5 points if he's playing 33 minutes every night. Okay, like, it's not even a usage thing for me. Do I have his... I must have a rate insane for him. No, I'm not changing any of this shit. I'm right. Bet his overs, too. Oh, speaking of betting his overs, we need to take a lap through that, too. Yeah, I love Davion Mitchell. I don't know why he's not more owned. It doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. I love Davion Mitchell. 4,200, point guard, shooting guard, has taken over the role of starting point guard for Miami. Honestly, it makes some sense. Hero's such a dog shit defender that you put Davion Mitchell in there. How have they been? He's -1 in 163 minutes. That's really not that bad. You put him in there to be the defender that Tyler Hero can't be. So I get the logic. I'm going to be playing a lot of Davion Mitchell. I'm going to be playing some Wiggins at 6,500. Small forward only, 7% owned. It's a great matchup against Atlanta. I don't mind getting to a little bit of Bam. And I don't mind Hero. I'm focused on Hero, Bam, Wiggins, and Davion Mitchell. And I'm going to rank these guys personally. Mitchell, Wiggins, Hero, Bam. No, Mitchell, Wiggins, Bam, Hero. What's his assist prop? Like, am I too high there, too? Because that I could at least entertain. 4.5 heavy juice to the over, and I have 5.4. So I don't even care about that. Give me all the Davion Mitchell. He needs 29 fantasy points. Has he done that? No, not even close. 23 yesterday. He started 5 in the 4 games he's played 30 minutes. 21, 19, 21, 23. Okay. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Davion Mitchell in this spot today. Really big. Davion Mitchell playing the role of homeless man's Dyson Daniels in this one when trying to guard Trae Young. Go to Trae Young and those Atlanta Hawks. Again, injury report, don't have it. No idea who's playing. No idea who's sitting. 10% ownership to Trae. 10% to George Niang. 10% to Reese Shea. 15 to Dyson Daniels. 15 to Onyeka Okongwu. I like Trae the most. I think he's under-owned. 9%. I got him ranked 6th. 15% optimal. 40% chance of 53 fantasy points. Which I'm pretty sure he did yesterday. 55.9. 59.7 on my birthday. 52.4 is close enough that you wouldn't care on February 8th. Yeah, give me Trey. 9,400 under owned. Solid value to me. I think the second best option here is probably it's probably George Niang. 4,300 power forward only a 0.8 fantasy point per minute guy. I got him ranked 32nd. It's really tight between Daniels, Okongwu, and Niang. They're all within 9 spots of each other. Okongwu being center only is just kind of limiting. But I don't know. Trey 1, Niang 2, Daniels 3, Okongwu 4. Maybe you want to roll the dice on a Karis LeVert. I don't think so. I like him probably more than Risache, but that doesn't say a lot. I wish Dyson Daniels had another position. If he were shooting guard small forward, it would be great. Steven, yeah, minus 3.1 possessions for the Hawks today. It's a massive pace down spot. Hawks are second in the league. Miami is 27th. This is overall the pace of the game isn't bad, but yeah, it's a tough scene here for Miami in the pace department. I wish I liked more here for Atlanta, but the matchup is just not appealing, especially now that Miami's running the Ware and Bam front court. Like Miami's 10th in defensive rating. Now they have Wiggins out there, who's at least a good enough representation of Butler. They've got Davion Mitchell, 2 bigs. Like it's a tough defensive matchup and a slow matchup for Atlanta. So I guess I'm not too surprised that I don't have much more from these guys. Let's discuss schedule for the rest of the day. We haven't done that yet. Very easy. Obviously, I'm here for this show. I will be back with Spags at 5 p.m. for the NBA Deeper Dive. We'll break down every single one of these games. We'll have all of our injury news. Then you get the big one. 6 p.m. NBA Live Before Lock. Greg, Eric. It's going to be crazy. 4 games locking at 7. Another one at 7:30. They are going to get blasted with news from 6 to 7. Make sure you're there. Make sure you're watching and reacting because it's going to be crazy. And then Greg and I will be on playback tonight from 7 till 8. We'll have 4 different games to choose from at 7. Could potentially switch to Miami and Atlanta if we wanted to. We'll get out of there from Minnesota and OKC. Only 1 game after that with Portland and Utah. Going to be a great night. Playback.tv/Stokastic. Link in the description. We watch games. You could watch along with us if you have League Pass. If you don't, we have VIP passes we can hand out. Worst case scenario, you just see Greg and I talking about basketball. Totally free. Come on in. The Minnesota Timberwolves are 12.5-point dogs in OKC, 226 total. Neither team has an injury report. Minnesota picking up no ownership. Sorry, back itchy. No ownership at all. Now, Ant is at 7%. Everybody else is at 2%. I have Ant at 11th overall, 9,300. Point guard, shooting guard eligible, 12% optimal. I think he's underowned. I really like Ant here. More so than what is being shown. Terrible matchup, though, clearly. But we have no idea if Rudy Gobert is playing today. We have no idea if Jalen Clark is playing today. He left early yesterday. No one looks any good currently if everybody is in. But if Jalen Clark happens to end up out, if Gobert is out again, those are going to be some very important things that we need to deal with. You'll still have massive minutes out of Naz Reid. We'll need to probably take a look at someone like Terrence Shannon. Maybe Mike Conley gets the 30 minutes he got yesterday. Maybe Rob Dillingham plays a little bit more. Minnesota's going to be sneaky, but if everybody's in, you just ignore them. It's very easy. Like, they're not, the prices on these guys are not that good. Like, I have Naz Reid ranked 66th. Other than Ant at 11th, I have Nickeil Alexander-Walker at 39th. There's very little here. I mean, we're obviously running into arguably the best defense ever. 105.4 defensive rating. Just for sake of argument here, that's 3.2 points ahead of second. I can't even remember something like that. I really can't. So let's, keep in mind the terrible, 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 terrible matchup for Minnesota. But we need the news. Gobert being in or out is massive. Jalen Clark being in or out is massive. Does Mike Conley play the back-to-back? Because if he doesn't, we're probably getting like 38 minutes out of Nickeil Alexander-Walker and enough minutes out of Rob Dillingham that we have a conversation about it. So we need this Minnesota news. This one's going to be pretty important. Right now, I don't have a lean. Right now, if everybody's in, the only guy you play is Anthony Edwards. Now, for OKC, you basically play nobody. We don't know what they're doing on the back-to-back. So, I would not be surprised at all if Chet doesn't play this one. So, we might be able to squeeze some value. We have Jalen Williams ranked 4th. Sorry, we have Jalen Williams projected for 4% ownership. I have him ranked 21st. He's the guy I want to get to in a large field GPP as a pivot, and I would happily use Shea as a pivot as well. There's no ownership here. This is a big-time pace down spot for OKC. Minnesota is 25th in pace. This is a pretty gross game. You don't expect them to run out massive minutes. They're super deep. If anybody sits for the back-to-back, then we might be able to find a little value. But I will not be prioritizing Oklahoma City all that much. They are currently the least owned team on the slate. I have them with the third lowest boom. And a lot of that is just because Shea and Jalen Williams are good. And they kind of offset anything else. So those guys are GPP plays for me. Jalen Williams ranked 21st. Shea ranked 33rd. Next best guy is Dort at 60. But I'm assuming Chet sits. And I wouldn't be surprised if like Caruso sat as well. And then you're just going to get like Jalen Williams and Kenrich Williams filling in. So I don't think it'll matter all that much. But that's OKC for you. We only have one game left at that point on the DraftKings slate. That's going to be Portland and Utah. Portland Trailblazers. 3.5 point favorites in Utah. 230 total. We are getting some ownership in here to Portland. We do have their injury report. DeAndre Ayton, out. Robert Williams, out. We're getting about 15% ownership to Toumani Camara. I got him ranked 31st, 10% optimal, 20% boom. Ownership looks perfect. We got 30% ownership coming into Jeremy Grant, 5,200, power forward only. I got him ranked 9th. I have you needing 34 fantasy points out of Jeremy Grant to be happy. Has Jeremy Grant been providing those fantasy points recently? Basically had 34 on the dot. Yeah, wow. I have his target score at 33.7. Last time out, he scored 33.8. So he can definitely get to that target. We can, that wouldn't be all that surprising. Should he be 30% owned? I don't think it's nuts against Utah. Maybe a little high. 25 makes a little bit more sense. Very clearly the best Portland option. Simons looks solid as a pivot, ranks 19th, 6,700, point guard, shooting guard eligible. Nothing crazy, 10 to 15%er. Denny's getting 15% ownership. Seems about right. Maybe a hair high. I don't really see the path to Donovan Clingan at 5,500. He's sort of already priced where you need him. Good point per dollar play. Nothing special. Like a standard issue 5%er. Jabari Walker doesn't look all that special to me either at 4,400. Power forward center eligible. Not owned. Probably shouldn't be. My focus for Portland is going to be on Jeremy Grant, Anthony Simons, Toumani Camara, and Denny Avdia. And that would be it. And even then, it's probably Grant, Simons, and Camara. Now, on the Utah side, this is an absolute disaster. Clarkson out, Sexton out, Collins out, Walker Kessler questionable, Lauri Markkanen questionable, 25% ownership coming into Bryce Sensabaugh, 30 to Keontae George, 10 to Isaiah Collier, 15 to Lauri Markkanen, 10 to Walker Kessler. I don't know what we're doing here with Utah. Obviously, we have an injury report, but whether or not Kessler or Markkanen play is really important, especially if they don't call up their G League guys, because I think they might only have 8 if both of those dudes end up out. Keontae George looks great. 6,500. Minutes aren't going anywhere. Should be 30% owned. Great per minute, dude. Love it. Love the ownership on Markkanen. Love Walker Kessler. I really like Utah a lot here. Now, the Sensabaugh ownership, I could care less about right now. We just kind of need to know who's starting for Utah. So I'd rather just have it go to Sensabaugh at 4,200 because that'll give me my most swaps. Everybody else that plays his positions is cheaper than him. But it could be Juzang, it could be Kenyon Martin Jr., it could be Svi Mikhailuk, Cody Williams. There's a lot going on for Utah, depending on the status of Kessler and Markkanen. But I like Utah a lot today. A lot. Collier looks fine. Kenyon Martin Jr. looks fine. Keontae George is the best play here for Utah. But we need this. We need this info. And unfortunately, this is the last piece of info we get. We might not know any of this until 8:30 tonight. So it might make for some interesting swaps. But if you have a lot of Utah, even if these guys get ruled out, you should be able to move it around between the Jazz and the Portland Trailblazers. Let's check out Odd Shopper and see if we have anything interesting showing up on the old screen ski. Well, that is not the right screen. Am I going to be able to do this while I'm on here? Uh-oh. That's annoying. Oh. Sick. That worked? Einsteinium Svi was a DNP CD last name because of other things? He'll play 28 minutes today if Markkanen and Kessler are out. It all depends on the injury status. I don't expect Svi to do anything if they're in, and everything if they're out. Okay. Let's see what kind of portfolio EV plays we have. Unfortunately, the return promo is over for you guys. That ended yesterday, but you can get in on a 7-day free trial by clicking the link in the description. Not a ton of value out there right now. We've got a 7 Odd Shopper rating on under 2.5 threes on Paul George. That's sitting out there on Fanatics right now. You could also get it at Hard Rock. I don't even know what that is, but somewhere else. And then we got a couple 4s. Aaron Gordon under 5.5 rebounds. Malik Monk under 29.5 PRA. Naz Reid under 29.5 PRA. Although that historical ROI doesn't look so great on Naz Reid. I would take that Aaron Gordon one pretty quickly. You can get this, our parlay builder, which I could show you right here. You want to build a parlay on one of these sites right out of the gate? I pull up DraftKings. You want to build a parlay? Boom. Parlay built. 0% EV. Maybe I take that leg off and that leg off. I got a 3% EV plus 464 parlay ready to go. Just with a quick button click. That's all. Nothing crazy. Live odds screen. You want that? Shop around for the best line across each sportsbook. Dig into advanced data. It's all right here. Player props instead. You do the same thing as well. Here's all the points props for every single guy shopped across every book. That's what you're looking for, guys. 1 week free trial in the description. Yeah. Lakers got to make it out of the first round before they do anything like that. And, I mean, it's just clearly impossible. They have a 0% chance of winning the NBA title. Literally. Goose egg. 0. No chance. No chance. 0. Final game, FanDuel only. Charlotte Hornets, 11-point dogs in Sacramento, 231 total. Oh, Charlotte. So, oddly enough, we do have LaMelo Ball here. We do have Miles Bridges here. Josh Okogie out. Mark Williams out. Daquan Jeffries out. We're getting 20% ownership into LaMelo on FanDuel. 9,300. Point guard only. I had him ranked 6th. 16% optimal. 33% boom. Ownership looks great. LaMelo looks like one of the better plays. Do I like playing guys from the Hornets? No. They all stink. I don't have anybody ranked higher than 40th. But LaMelo's really good. And Sacramento's defense? Not very good. Pretty awful. So, amazing spot for LaMelo. Not so much otherwise. Yeah, Steven, they have no championship odds. It's a goose egg. You're not winning the NBA title with Jackson Hayes. Impossible. Do I think Cleveland or Boston? I mean, I think Cleveland can. I think it will take injuries. I don't know how anybody could say Boston over Cleveland. Or Cleveland over Boston. Like I don't think it's particularly close. OKC would sweep the Lakers. I mean, the talent gap between Boston and Cleveland is still really big. Really big. What do you mean nobody said Jackson Hayes, bud? He's on the team. We're talking about the Lakers. I'm saying Jackson Hayes. Name any other center on their team. You're never winning anything in the playoffs with those guys. They're going to get picked apart. Cavs are good though. I'm a big Cavs guy. They're deeper than look, they had a really good deadline. Really good deadline. Ooh, Boston would have 3 of the top 5 players in a Cavs series. Is that true? Tatum, obviously. I mean, I don't know how true that is, Einsteinium. Close. It also might be 3 out of 6. So that's just like an interesting way to it's an interesting way to like parse that off. Have I watched the Lakers since the trade? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Not that it was fun. That's for sure. But, I also don't care about 4 games. You're just never winning anything with Jackson Hayes. It doesn't matter. I don't care what happens in the regular season. Jackson Hayes is no different than Tristan Thompson. Okay. I'm not going to get into this stuff anymore. It annoys me too much. So, Sacramento, Zach LaVine, 7,400, shooting guard, small forward eligible. It's 20% owned. This Kings team looks amazing here against Charlotte. I've got Domantas Sabonis ranked 11th, Zach LaVine ranked 12th, Malik Monk ranked 14th. Swish Sanders, I would give them no boost whatsoever. It wouldn't matter at all. Wouldn't matter at all. Would change nothing. Whether you have Mark Williams right now or Jackson Hayes right now, it would not change anything about the Lakers. LaVine, Monk, Sabonis, 3 of the top 15 FanDuels. Now, ownership is painting that in a very different light. 20% to LaVine, 15 to Monk, 7 to Sabonis. I have them all equal. 14% optimal, 15% optimal, 14% optimal. So give me more Sabonis. Give me less LaVine. That just seems easy. But I would also argue DeMar DeRozan, 7,600, small forward, power forward eligible, 5% owned. Yeah. Looks interesting. 1% ownership to Keegan Murray against Charlotte? Yeah, that looks interesting to me. Ellis, I don't think we could do now. They seem to be sitting him in that like 24-minute range. But I'm ranking this Sabonis, Monk, LaVine if the ownership is going to be LaVine, Monk, Sabonis. But that's where we're at, folks. 8 games up, 8 games down. We took the full hour. Got shows coming up later. We've got Odds Shopper and the Portfolio EV tool hanging out there, handing out bets for pick'em sites and sportsbooks, whatever you're looking for. Going to be a good one. I'm excited to see what we get out of these injury reports. Curious to see who ends up in, out. How much does this slate change? How much value do we end up opening up to make Nikola Jokic look even better than he does right now? This is what we're going to have to figure out over the next few hours. Good luck, everybody. Thank you for being here. Hit the like button on your way out the door. Back tomorrow, doing it all again.